Hey everybody, my name is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food. How are you today? Anyway, I'm reading Always Hungry, and so probably there will be tidbits, pun intended, in the next few of my videos. And one of the things that I love this phrase, was getting dominion over your cravings. Dominion over your cravings. I mean, it sounds like such a hard-earned, wholly deserved sort of place to be once you're really, really working it, you know? To have dominion over your cravings means you are fully, fully invested and involved in what it is that you plan to eat, put in your body, and how you go about your day. I love that. Dominion. It just seems so regal and without question. I like that. So, one of the things I'm liking about this book, Always Hungry, that I listen to when I walk, it's a book on tape from Dr. Robert Lustig, is that there's all this preparation that goes into the launch. And it's like 7 days before you even change your way of eating, you are preparing yourself psychologically as well as physically, changing your kitchen and your fridge. And to me, that is just so true. And like most of us in the real world, we live with people that don't have maybe the addiction of food, or they don't have any desire to change their way of eating, and they might eat certain things that could be triggers or could be suspect, and so it's hard to be around them. I had to learn how to squint. I had to learn how to not look at Greg's Yummies and think that in any way I was entitled to them. And I don't know how I did it, honest to God. It must be because I prayed. It must be because of the spiritual part. But, you know, his stuff never sings out to me, ever. And so I'm very lucky that way, because Greg can eat whatever he wants, and he loves his sugar and a smattering of junk, garbage. And, you know, I feed him what I eat, and he eats it, but then left to his own, he likes other things that I can't partake in. And so I can't see it in the house. And I've trained my brain to not see it. So I get more excited about my blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries than I do anything Sara Lee that comes into the house. So with the Always Hungry, he has you prepping for a week before it begins. And I really, really like that. And one of the things, as I told you, dotted throughout the book are testimonials that his wife reads. And at the end of each testimonial, they list the person's weight loss and how many inches they lost off their waist. And one of them, I don't think it was the doctor saying it, but one of them was saying that they bought clear containers. And I'm a big proponent of glass containers, as you know. And so they bought the clear containers because of their kids, her kids. And when you open up the fridge door, if the kid can see what's in the container that's already prepped and in the container, there's more of a chance that they will eat it than instead of choosing something that perhaps wouldn't be in their best interest, which is really the conflict a lot of parents have. They do have treats, but they also want them to eat maybe their way of eating, maybe with a whole lot more vegetables and things like that, and less garbage. And so I thought that was interesting. And so if you haven't invested in little glass jars and containers, you know, I have mine, and they're like how Rubbermaid or Tupperware used to be for me. Like, you know, I would drive 100 miles to retrieve my Tupperware container in the old days. And that's how I feel about my little glass containers. You know, sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll realize, oh my goodness, I left my glass containers at work. After I ate, I washed them to dry and left them to dry, and never went back and retrieved them, and I get that little whoosh of a panic. Isn't that silly? But that's how I get. So I'm very protective of my glass containers, and they've fared me well. I bought them from Amazon, and actually they're baby food containers, but they're perfect because I like 2 ounces of this and 3 ounces of that and 4 ounces of that. And that's the range, I think, maybe 5 ounce, maybe 2 to 5. But I probably have a dozen of them, and they're used every day. My berries are in them today. My salsa is in them today. My Fai yogurt is in them today that I've weighed and measured already for work. And so that is part of the prepping for this new way of life. Because if you're used to grabbing, some of the things that I think of on the shelves in fridges and in cupboards that are carbagey, that don't need little glass jars, you may be rethinking all of this if you decide to change your way of eating. And so I really totally appreciate that, in that, along with the dominion over the cravings. And I know that the difference to me, a trigger is seeing something. It would be like seeing an ad for pizza. It would be like, I went into work yesterday and there's, my last binge food was tiramisu cake. And there one is, sitting there. And, I said, I might have to throw this out, which is really not my business because it's their food. But it comes from a donation. And so then the other part of me said, you know what? Even though I'm visually seeing it, it's not a craving. It's not turning into a trigger that turns into a craving that turns into the bites. And I was very excited. There's a brief moment when I saw it that I wondered what it tasted like. Now, if I go in today and it's still there, I'll have that snobby thing of like, oh, it's 1 day older, and they kept it outside of the refrigerator, and it's supposed to be in the fridge. So I could add those little things on top of it to make it less appealing. So I'm very excited that must be a dominion over my craving. And I would still fall for pizzas. I would still fall for maybe a Mexican meal at like a Mexican restaurant where there's like a platter of all the different things. The bread, the beans, the rice, and then something like the enchiladas, and they're like wrapped in the tortilla and there's sauce and cheese on them. And although there's more deadly foods out there that I could be partaking in, it still would be something that is not akin to my way of eating. So, and when I did go there, I had when I went to the Mexican restaurant for Mother's Day, I had the Cobb salad. And so I thought that was safe. Safer. So that's my fun. That's my deal. Do you have dominion over your cravings, or are there some things that still pull to you? He did talk about, speaking of our Damien scales, Joyce, he said that a week before you begin, so in this, also that week of prepping, the first day of the prep, to weigh yourself and then put the scale away. Have somebody take it and put it in the trunk of their car, somebody that leaves the house for the day. That's how I would handle it. If the scale was my Damien, it's not right now, because the Damien scale is no longer with me. But he said to weigh yourself a week before, and you're going to have a journal from all of this, of course, and to put your weight and to get rid of it. Because weighing with this way of life is not going to be a major part whatsoever. It's going to be a once-a-month thing, I think he said. So it's totally exciting to hear this and realize how much thought and effort that this man who has become the guru of the addiction of sugar, this doctor who did not begin his career this way, has ended up, and he gets all the psychological parts. And I love that, because to me that is what it's all about. It's not just about following a food plan, and it's just eat this, don't eat that, and stay away from this, and then you have a binge and you eat all the things that you're not supposed to because you haven't worked on the psychological cravings or triggers or binging or behaviors of the nighttime eating, and all those sort of things. So this clearly prepares you in all aspects, the mental, the physical, and perhaps the spiritual part of your new way of eating. And I like that because he gets it. And so it's really nice to read or to hear this book. And maybe I could read the same book and not get out of it. I guess I'm an auditory person. But yeah, so if you are thinking of this, and you have a library that you can get this from, I'm not telling you to buy it, but he definitely has it. He gets it, and I like that. And I'm enjoying it as we go along, as you can tell. Well, enjoy your day. This has been Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food. Bye-bye for now.